used to have to, when you pull it out and the string would come out, you have to take it.
Good afternoon. I'm Barbara Tinnerman Cecil, and on behalf of Susie Spittler and Tom Beck, I want to welcome you to the 32nd oral history taping. It is Tuesday, May 12th, and we are going to continue our spring series about our local businesses in West Milton. Our first speaker is Evelyn Alder, and she is from the Gleaning place. Evelyn.
Thank you very much. First, before I start, I would like to introduce three people that play a very vital role in the Gleaning place. First is Bill Lutz, Executive Director of New Path.
Well, thank you, Evelyn, and thank you all for being here today, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. I want to talk a little bit about New Path in the Gleaning place. New Path is the outreach arm of Ginghamsburg Church in Tip City, and the Gleaning place is one of 3 retail locations we have throughout the Miami Valley. We have these retail locations to allow us to do the work that we do throughout the Miami Valley, and Evelyn is one of our strongest servants that we have. She's developed a wonderful team, and she has taken very good care of the village of West Milton. And we hope that not only the Gleaning place, but New Path themselves are good neighbors to West Milton. So whatever we can do to help out the village, please let us know. Thank you.
Next, Sherry Loshi. She is Program Director for New Path.
Hi, I'm Sherry Loshi, and I just want to say that Evelyn has done a phenomenal job of bringing community members together for a common cause, and she initiated with a dream many years ago when we used to do mega garage sales, and we thought we were blessing the community with some used household items for folks that couldn't necessarily go out to JCPenney's and buy what they needed. But Evelyn has continued that dream all through the year at the Gleaning place, and we are very happy to have her among one of our team members.
Thank you. Next is my one of my very best friends, and she is a manager also. Sometimes she calls herself a manager, but she is a manager. She's responsible for selecting the furniture from the barn and also pricing it, and I could not do it without her. Carol Dunkel.
Well, hello, I'm Carol Dunkel, and yes, I help Evelyn, and someone asked me, how do you know what price to put on this furniture? And I said, well, I get around, I read the paper, I shop, but I said, did you ever see Karnak on Johnny Carson, and he holds the envelope up here? I said, sometimes that's how I have to do it. But we try to be fair, and we want to price things what we would like to pay for it. And I love working with Evelyn. She's a good gal. And we're happy to be in West Milton. You're a great little town. Thank you.
Thank you, folks, very much. I hope I don't repeat, but I have written down all I wanted to say because I realized if I didn't write it down, I probably would say too much because I have a tendency to talk a lot. And after all, I did make my living by being a high school teacher and an administrator for almost 43 years, so I suppose it comes naturally. First of all, thank you for inviting me. And I would just kind of like to put the sequence of what has happened I've been volunteering since 2005 at New Path, and I've served in several different capacities there. And as you read your brochure, you will see how many things are going on there. And there are things that are going on there and new things coming up just about every day. I might add that New Path in the past year touched the lives of 500, oh, how many thousand? 57,000 people benefited from something, and it's really worthwhile. It's not just little small things, it's real things. Now, first of all, in case you can't tell it, I'm from the South, and I still have my Southern brogue, and I still speak from the heart. This is not going to be a fancy speech, it's simply just going to be what I feel. I will reiterate some of the things that have already been said because it's part of my program. New Path is an outreach ministry of Ginghamsburg. It is made up, as Bill said, of 17 ministries, and you will see there's a big variation in what we do. In your brochure, it will tell you, it'll give you the phone numbers, and probably you didn't know that we help people with wheelchairs and hospital beds and food and clothing and utility bills. That's just to mention a few. The history of New Path. We started out, as has been said, with just a simple garage sale. And then we decided, why not make it a mega garage sale? So we did that, and it was really, we had a lot of real merchandise and we had a lot of junk. But anyway, this is where we got our starting. Then after that, we were to the mega sale, and that was really large. We made several $1,000s on it. So we began to get, I guess, a little bit greedy and think, well, why don't we just have a store? So we set up a store and a car dealership on 25A in Troy. We didn't have to pay any bills. Well, it was pretty obvious why we didn't have to pay any bills. We didn't have any electricity, or we didn't have any heat, so we worked under adverse conditions. And the history being from 2005 to 2010, we were mega garage sales, small store. Then in 2011, we started searching for a suitable place, and the name West Milton kept coming up. And my daughter-in-law lives in Ludlow Falls. She saw the store window open, and from that, and I will add that the landlord has been very nice in working with us. We opened on May the 7th, 2011. We just completed our 4th year. And we hope we have many more to go. Every year, we strive to do more, and we think we can, we know we can. I always tell my students, don't say you can do anything you want to, so we know that we can go farther. Our name is taken from the book of Ruth and the Bible. You know, she gleaned the fields of Boaz. Well, essentially that's what we do. Sometimes we get in merchandise that's dirty, broken, so we tend to repair that we can. We also clean everything and we sanitize it. We don't want to sell you any additional little varmints when we sell you something. And all of the proceeds, once we pay our rent and utilities, go back to New Path. And that's one of Bill's and Sherry's jobs to decide what gets what. We are one of the major money raisers for all of those 17 ministries. So if you donate something, you are certainly donating it in essence, to a lot of people. So I just want to emphasize that if you wish to donate, you can call either the Gleaning Place or New Path, and we will let you know how to get in contact and get pickup. Pardon me, please. I'm not scared. I just have a dry mouth for being an old woman and being medicated all the time. Sorry about that. I couldn't help that. Okay. I referred to the 17 ministries because we consider ourselves a ministry. Every person that walks in that store, we try to let them know that they're special. And I don't care if somebody brings us something that to donate, and it really is junk, but if that's the best they have, I just thank God that they brought it, because I am going to let them know that I thank them for it. And all merchandise sold in the store is donated. We don't do any consignments, anything like that. So everything is donated, and I am impressed by the quality of what we get. We get some really nice stuff. And we have actually had donations from as far away as Westerville, Ohio. In the last year, our clients have grown. They continue to grow every day. We have people coming from a lot of the surrounding towns. We get lots of support from these other communities: Arcanum, Lewisburg, Greenville, Vandalia, Tip City. All personnel at our store donate their time. They are committed to making a good store an even better one. The volunteers, there are no prerequisites, there are no requirements except you wanting to serve. We have approximately half of the people that serve do not go to Ginsburg Church. That's not a requirement. If they want to serve, they're serving, after all, they're serving God. So that's what it's about. So we have Englewood, West Milton, Tip City, Clayton, and Union, and approximately half of the people come from West Milton. We have over 20 servants that serve. And it might not seem like you need that much. When you start talking about cleaning all of these things up, it takes a long time. Okay. I would just simply like to tell you the commitment that some of these servants have. We have 4 women that come once a week and do the decoration of our windows. They come hot weather, cold weather, whatever. They lift big couches and chairs and put them in the window. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. We also had a cell group that on the very coldest day of the year, though, and actually I think there was a level 3 alert or something, they came to the Gleaning place and upstairs, where there's no heat at all, spent 2 or 3 hours organizing it. Now, to me, that is really heartfelt commitment. And it really was the coldest day of the year. Okay, a little bit about me. There's not much interesting about me, but anyway, when I accepted this position after having worked at New Path, I knew I would get support. I knew how the money was used. I knew that I would be involved in something that was worthwhile. And I'm the type of person, if I don't feel like the money is going to be used correctly, I wouldn't do it. However, I'm a retired biology chemistry teacher. I knew absolutely nothing about marketing, absolutely nothing. Still don't know very much. But I chose to adopt the golden rule as my guideline. And I figure if I do that and we don't put anything out on the floor that I wouldn't buy or sell myself if I had a need, and we try to operate with honesty and integrity and caring about our customers. So, however, I didn't worry too much about being qualified to do it because I knew that I had God on my side, and I knew that I'd made that commitment to him years ago, and I was fulfilling it, and I knew that he would support me. So every day, and this is not just for this presentation that I'm saying this, every day I'm down on my knees in the morning asking God to lead me, to guide me, and to direct me. I'm just about finished, sorry. In conclusion, I would be remiss if I failed to mention our wonderful customers, the support from local government officials, merchants, and our landlord. And at the top of the list, location, location, location. We love this community. I'm proud to work in West Milton. I refer to it as small town USA. In my opinion, our country would have far less problems and be a better place if we had more West Miltons. Thank you very much. And now to the next speaker.
Thank you. My name is Terry Bauer, and I have been invited here today to represent Huntington Bank. So again, thank you for inviting me here. I'd like to start out with just giving a little bit of history about the building that we're currently in, and our building is actually just right next door on Ullery Drive. And it started out being West Milton Federal Financial Corp. way back in 1887. And it was chartered then to become Union Federal Savings Bank in 1994. It then was purchased by First Bank National in 2000. It then was also merged into what's called Unison Bank. And then Huntington Bank, which is where we currently are, actually purchased the building in 2003. It is a rather large building, and it has had renovations made to it. I actually have an actual picture of the building that was Union Federal Savings Bank, and it's kind of a smaller picture, but this is pretty much what the building looks like today, except the trees are bigger and there's more flowers and so forth, so on. So I wanted to give some information, if I can, about Huntington Bank. Again, our location is over on Ullery Drive. Our hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 6 on Friday, 9 to 2 on Saturday. We are closed on Sunday. We do have the convenience of a drive-up ATM. I currently have 6.5 employees at this current location, and they have been there. I have very tenured tellers. We've got tellers that have been there 15, 18 years, and that's pretty much unheard of in the banking field nowadays. I have a personal banker that's been there for 3 years, and I have a part-time teller that works with us there. We currently, in the back of the building, which was a renovation to the building from its first inception, we have an investment banker and we have a mortgage originator that sits on site as well. Huntington Bank was established back in 1866. It is a $66 billion asset corporation, and its corporate is in Columbus, Ohio. We have bank affiliates. We do our banking in the states of Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Indiana, West Virginia, and Kentucky. These are all states that actually connect with the state of Ohio. We have right now currently over 11,000 employees bank-wide, 700 branches, and 1,500 ATMs. Some of the services that we provide, we have affiliates that provide services for commercial customers, small business clients, consumer banking, mortgage, investing, treasury management services, trust, leasing, and insurance. Huntington was named one of the best business and commercial banks, winning 8 awards in past history. In 2015, we were also named the 40 best companies for developing leadership within the company. Sponsorships, also the employees, 11,000 I mentioned. We do volunteer hours in 2014. 1,200 employees donated over 27,000 hours to community service. Some of the companies or the nonprofit organizations that we support is the American Heart Association, Junior Achievement, Ronald McDonald House. some of the other endeavors that we also support with some of our volunteer hours is to do financial education in schools and senior establishments, the American Heart Association. We support the Crime Stoppers, Springfield Art Council, and several YMCAs in our area. And unless there's any questions, I'd like to go ahead and, again, my location is at 25 Lowry, and if you are in need of anything, please let me know. And with that, I would like to pass that on to the next speaker, which is Camby Coblentz.
Hi, my name is Camby Coblentz. I'm the current director of Milton Union Early Childhood Center. We're located in the West Milton Church of the Brethren. We're open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We offer before and after school care, preschool care. We take 6 weeks through 5th grade. So, we opened in August of 2004. There was a previous daycare in West Milton that closed, and a group of the parents there still saw a need for the child care in the West Milton area, so they got together and they got their initial license and their tax exempt status, and then they just needed a building. So they got together with the Council of Churches and they toured area churches in West Milton and some outlying areas to try and find a good fit for what they were looking for. The Church of the Brethren did accept to have the daycare put into the basement of the church. It's just the basement of the church, so we're not very big. But we have infants and toddlers now, which have a room, and then we have a preschool room, and then we have what I like to call our gym, but we have our lunch area, and then there's just like a big open area, so if we can't go outside, we do a lot of our activities inside in the gym area. And when the daycare first started, we only took ages 3 years through 5th grade. In 2010, we started the process to add infants and toddlers because there was a need for this age in the area. We had been getting a lot of calls because there was no infant or toddler care in the West Milton area other than private individuals. In March of 2011, we were licensed for 6 weeks through 5th grade then. And so we currently accept children 6 weeks through 5th grade. We're licensed for 49 children, and it's all based on square footage. Currently, I have 7 employees, including myself. 2 of us are full-time, and then I have 5 part-time help. And we just, during the summer, we do a summer program for our school-agers because we have most of our school-agers year-round, or throughout the entire summer then. So we do field trips and walking field trips, and we go bowling, and we just try to do a lot of stuff around West Milton to try and keep, up the businesses in Milton too, so. That's all I have. So on to the next speaker.
Hello, my name is Bill McGrath. I own McGrath Service Center located at 975 on South Main Street. My business originated up in Piqua, where it was a two-bay garage with a gas station, and we were there for 10 years. Started out as a Ohio station, obviously converted to a BP station when they got bought out by BP, and that was there from 1983 to 1993, and then in 1993, we, in 12 days, purchased Knaff's Goodyear from Richard Knaff, and which is kind of remarkable. It could happen in 12 days, but it happened literally in 12 days. And so we moved to West Milton and purchased the Goodyear right on Miami Street. And we stayed there for about 6 years. It was a fairly small building. We had 4 technicians working for us, and I brought one with me from up in Piqua. So we're pretty crowded in that little building. So after 4 years, or after 5 years, we decided we would find some land, and Brad Vath was very instrumental in helping us find that land, which is where we're at right now. And it was 3 acres that we purchased, and we used the front 1 acre of that 3 acres. The other 2 acres is behind us and behind the machine shop next to us. So we've been there since the spring of actually April of 1999 is when we moved into that building, April 30th. So we've been there ever since then. We have we've had up to 6 employees in this location, and right now we're going to be at 4. A week from today we'll be at 4. We're at 3 today. So we'll be at 4 back again on a week from today. All of my technicians are ASC certified, which is one of the requirements that I have, that they have some sort of a national training testing facility, so they have some knowledge that my customers can be sure that they aren't just having somebody working out of their garage working on their car. And the types of work that we do are much different than most places. We usually do all the things that you think you have to go to a dealer for, we do those things. Things in your dash, things that are electronic in your dash, things that make rattles in your dash. The only things that we don't do are we don't pull transmissions and take them apart, and we try not to pull engines. Occasionally we get talked into doing an engine job, but we try not to do that. But basically, if it has anything to do with the computer on your car or computer sensors on your car, exhaust, we're pretty well equipped to do any of those things with all the latest equipment that you need to do that. The building that we went from was probably around 2,000 square feet. The building we're in now is about 9,000 square feet. And it's considerably different, and it costs the same amount to heat the new building as it did to heat the old building. So it tells you what technology does when you have really modern heaters versus not modern heaters. The one story that I'd like to share with you is I moved from Piqua, and I was there for 10 years. You have to remember how long I was there. And I finally was at the point where I felt like I was accepted in the town of Piqua. And we moved to West Milton, and a week later, I have a refrigerator that I always kept in the shop that the employees can keep their sodas, or I buy sodas and put them in there. They can put their lunches in there. And so I'm over at Scranton's, which is Mr. Deals now, but it was Scranton's, and I'm going in there, and I get the cart, and I've got a cart full of pop, and I'm driving out of the cart out of the store, and this older gentleman stops me as I'm coming out to the car, and he says, "Aren't you the person that just bought the Goodyear store?" And I'm thinking to myself, this is my first week in the town, what did I do wrong already? Is it possible I've already screwed something up? And because they did a really nice article in the newspaper the day that we traded, when I bought the business from Dick. And so he's going by that picture when he recognized me from that picture. And so in my mind, I'm thinking the worst, and he sticks his hand out. He says, "I'd like to welcome you to West Milton." And I'll tell you, that is my experience with West Milton. So I totally agree with you about the friendliness of West Milton. If there were more West Miltons in the world, there would be a much better place. So and there's no questions for me, I'm sure, so I'll turn it over to Bob Menke.
Thank you. I'm Bob Menker from Patterson's Flower Shop. My business was actually started in 1926 by Robert Ewing Jennings. Ewing was the son of Dr. Gaynor Jennings and grandson of Solomon Jennings, both family doctors here in West Milton in the early years. Their office is now where Curry's video store is. When he was in his 20s, he bicycled around Germany to get ideas for his home and business. And in 1914, he finished building the house at the corner of Hamilton and Poplar Street. It's a very European-looking building, has a half-timbered frame, and has a tile roof. It's probably the only house in West Milton that has a tile roof. He finished it in 1914, which was the same year that his daughter Roberta was born. He later started the flower shop down at where it is now. He finished that building in 1926 and opened a store. It was a 4-room house with a store built across the front, and there were 3 sections of greenhouse off to the side. At that time, it was a half a mile south of town. He was now divorced, so his wife got the house on Hamilton Street, and he lived at the store. A lot of people may remember the Thompson family living in that house because Don Thompson was our mayor for a while.
Right.
His mother was Roberta, who was Ewing Jennings' daughter.
Okay.
So that's how that connection came about. Before he started the flower shop, he was postmaster in town here from 1915 to 1920, and even after he had the flower shop, he was postmaster again from 1934 to 1940. And the post office at that time was downtown where the Edward Jones office is now. The early ads for the store say he specialized in rock garden plants, and the area around the store was all landscaped with fish ponds and rock gardens, which seemed appropriate because there were a lot of goldfish ponds all around that area where the company that raised goldfish in this area was a huge business at that time. In 1947, he retired to Florida and sold the business to Harold Pat Patterson. Pat was originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, and he worked in a large flower shop greenhouse over there. He moved to Dayton and worked in a downtown flower shop until the war broke out, and he went to work for the Sheffield Gage Company. After the war, he wanted to come back into the flower business, and he bought the Jennings flower shop and moved into the house with his wife, Mary. The first months were tough going, and he had very little business. A new man in town, nobody knew him, and he was really struggling. He told me that a popular rural mail carrier died, and the people on his route ordered an arrangement. He made a standing mailbox out of flowers, and everybody loved it. He always credited that one arrangement with saving his business, because after that, people started ordering flowers from Patterson's. His wife, Mary, died in the 1950s, and he later married Dolly Smith from Pleasant Hill. Dolly was also a businesswoman here in town. She had a beauty shop 2 doors south of Hamilton on Miami Street next to Montgomery's jewelry shop. The shop was called La Dolby Beauty Shop, which is a strange name, but it was named because 3 sisters, Luella, Dolly, and Beatrice, had started the shop. At that time, it was the second oldest business in town. Only Iris Markley had a hair salon that had been going longer than Dolly had. They always kidded Dolly that she'd been in business so long that her phone number was actually number 1. At that time, the flower shop's number was 124, so we weren't too much further behind. Dolly also owned and lived in the funeral home in Pleasant Hill. At that time, it was called Ross Memorial Home. She had been engaged to Mr. Ross, who passed away before they got married, and she ended up inheriting the funeral home. But she and 2 other sisters actually bought the house, and they lived there for a long time. As a side to note to that, Jim Shade from here in town was her embalmer at the funeral home. In 1975, Pat and Dolly decided to retire and sold the flower shop to me. I had been working there since 1962. I had started as a junior in high school. It's the only job I've ever had. By the time I bought the business, the store had been added onto, and it surrounded the original house and had a new greenhouse built behind the store. The original greenhouses were still standing but did not have year-round heat in them. We only used them in the springtime for garden plants. In 1980s, Mr. Boyd's greenhouse on Market Street were going to be torn down. I think a lot of people remember going there to get Mother's Day flowers from school. They would take the classes over there. Anyway, they were offered to me for free if they just wanted to get them torn down. So I tore down the original greenhouses at the shop and moved Mr. Boyd's greenhouses over there. We still didn't have any heat in them, but we used them in the springtime for several years. Unfortunately, with no heat in them, we had a big snowstorm in the 90s, and one of the greenhouses collapsed because of the weight of the snow. A couple years later, the same thing happened to the other one, and we didn't rebuild them after that. So next year, the store will celebrate 90 years in business, and I've been there for 53, so I've stayed longer than the other 2 owners combined. Flower business has changed a lot over the years, and I've always told my wife I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing. Although now sometimes I think of things I'd rather be doing. So, but it's certainly been an enjoyable business, and it's one of the older businesses here in town too. I'll turn it over to the next speaker.
Hello, my name is Lindsey Cherry, and I am here on behalf of Frame Mill Gallery. Frame Mill Gallery was opened in 1980 by Glenn, Marge, and Greg Rogers as a do-it-yourself picture frame shop. It was located in Inglewood Plaza next to Kmart at the time. The business continued to grow and expand into interior decorating and custom framing. In the year 2000, Glenn and Marge Rogers retired, and Greg took over the shop himself. Frame Mill Gallery was then relocated to West Milton in 2009. After working out of 2 smaller locations, Greg moved into the present location, which is the Old Gingerbread House at 109 South Miami Street. With the addition of home gallery flooring, we now offer carpet, hardwood, laminate, and ceramic tile, along with custom window shades and blinds. We're not your typical carpet store. It's a 24 square foot house. It enables us to show custom art, antiques, handmade crafts, much more, anything you can imagine. Greg has been working right now on decorating the 2015 Homerama house out here on Frederick Garland, here in West Milton. The show will begin on June 11th. Really neat house. You should check it out. He also decorated the Pearson house, and I was told to tell everyone to save room for pie. And he also helped with some of the decorations here in the city building. He is also an accomplished artist, and for the past 35 years has created art all over Dayton and Miami County area. His artwork has been showcased in several area businesses, including the Imes Company, Digestive Specialist, Springboro Imaging, Good Samaritan Hospital. He does some private residence, just to name a few. Greg and the Frame Mill Gallery are very appreciative of the ongoing support from the citizens of West Milton, who help his company grow and so he can continue to do what he loves the most. It's just me and him in there right at the moment, and then we have some subcontractors that do our installations and some other things for us. And other than that, that's about it. And Whitney is our next speaker.
Now that she took my save room for pie line, I'm not sure what I'm going to say. I'm here for Pearson House. My name's Whitney Ullery. My grandparents, Bob and Beth Bianco, opened the Pearson House December of 1983. They opened with 5 employees. Now we have 23. We're located right across the street from the Gleaning place on 48. We are open 7 days a week from 8 to 8. There's a big emphasis on making sure things stay homemade. My grandmother is very adamant about making sure things are homemade. In the late 80s, our original pie baker decided to retire back to England. That's when Grandpa Bob said he would give it a try. So if you see him today, he'll tell you that now he's been trying for 26 years. There's big history in our building in downtown West Milton. The restaurant was built in 1903. It was a hotel when it was first built. On the side was a barbershop room. The back room was the original dining room for the hotel. It was Harry Harris's Bakery. It was Mabel's Dress Shop. I believe there was a shoe store there. There was probably more, but it was a lot. We decided that we would remodel in late 2012. We finished in February 2013, so we've been done remodeled for a little over 2 years now. If anybody was there, they know it needed done. Right after we remodeled, my grandfather hit 500,000 pieces of pie in June. We've went up 60,000 since then. So the menu is lengthy. Liver and onions and ham loaf. Our tenderloins are good. Chicken salad. We really have great food, homemade food. So 25 varieties of pie. Grandpa keeps those frozen. He makes them all weekend long. You'll always catch them on the weekend, flour covered. Requires a lot of hard work. It doesn't seem like it's hard, but when you have to cut vegetables and do everything homemade, open 7 days a week, 8 to 8, it's a lot of work for the kitchen, and it gets hot and people get grumpy. But we've been there. My grandparents really put their whole life into the restaurant, so they're continuing their dream. I don't know what's next for the restaurant, but right now we're there, open 7 days a week. And if you come, make sure you save room for pie. And I will pass the microphone to Dr. Poling.
Thank you, Whitney. Thanks for all the people that are spoke, and I want to thank Barbara for this opportunity. My name is Clifton Poling. As most of you know, I'm a doctor of optometry. Most people just refer to as an optometrist. My location is at 21 North Miami Street. It's an old bank building, and the history goes way back. When I first came to West Milton, I had, in Rotary, had a conversation with an attorney at the time, Winford Martindale, and he wasn't sure when the building was built, but he thought it was 1901, 1902, 1903, somewhere along those lines. The building next to mine, if you look up at the facade, it says 1899, and if you look at the Pearson House's facade, it says 1903, so sometime along in there. It was a bank until 1957. Milton Federal, that we've heard about from, started there, and in 1939 they moved across the street. So the bank that was in there from 39 to 57 was the forerunner of U.S. Bank. It was an insurance agency from 1957 to 1985 or 86, and I located there in 1988 in July. So I've been there almost 27 years. I located there from 222 South Miami Street, which was the home of Dr. Tony DeFrancis. That's where Pat and Tony DeFrancis lived, and he had his practice in the basement. Dr. DeFrancis moved, this is a history of optometry in West Milton. He moved to West Milton about 1950, so he practiced in the town from about 1955 to 1983 when I came to town. And one of my first experiences was in December of 1983 was eating at the Pearson House, because I lived in Fairborn and drove back and forth, and so I was here till late at night, so I needed some place to get my nourishment. As I said, I purchased the practice in 1983, and I graduated from Ohio State College of Optometry in 1977. So the intervening years, I was in the United States Air Force, and I was stationed in Nebraska and Portugal, the Azores, and back at Wright Pat. And it was probably overseas when I started thinking about where I was going to end up, and I had no idea that I would end up in West Milton, but West Milton was the type of town that I had in mind at the time. It was friendly, small, and it needed an optometrist. I stayed in the reserves until 2010 and retired from them at that time. So as I said, I'm an optometrist, so everything I do centers around an eye exam, and that's the basis for advice and consultation. I fit contact lenses. I use probably all the major manufacturers of contact lenses, Bosch Lomb, Ciba, Vistacon, Cooper Vision. We fit any kind of ophthalmic lens you need, whether it's a progressive edition, straight top bifocal, trifocals, transition lenses, plastic lenses, safety lenses, any kind that you need. Also treat eye diseases, red eyes, diagnose cataracts, diagnose and treat some glaucoma, or if there's any issues that needed to be referred, I do that also. I have two employees. Cheryl DeBross has been with me 26 years, and Jane's been with me 3 years. We're open 6 days a week, and I see patients most of that time, but I do take occasional afternoon or morning off. So I want to thank the opportunity to speak, and that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
I can attest you are a great eye doctor.
Thank you.
And I remember Dr. Doug Francis. I went to Dr. DeFrancis as well before you came here. And I worked at the Friends Daycare Center, and that's who you took over from? When Friends closed, then you started
That was the
yours.
group of parents that got together and, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Does anybody else have anything to offer? How's business changed in all these years? A lot?
I think when 48 was redone, when it was widened, I think a lot of people thought that a lot of businesses shut down. So I think that we slowed down. I think that the town kind of dropped. As far as us, when we remodeled, that got really crazy.
Yes.
Yes, it did.
It did.
It did. Today we stay busy. Weather's warming up, so here we go, back running. It's been nice. It's been nice for my grandparents
I
especially.
remember Harry Harris. I went in there as a child to the bakery.
Mhm.
I remember Maybell's dress shop. So you are a third generation?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
me and my mother work there. We keep it in the family. It's hard working for family. A lot of people think that like we get all the benefits. That's not the way it goes at all.
They're hard on you.
Yes, they're really hard on us. So
I worked there in
They're
high
harder
school.
on you than they are their employees because you can't quit.
yeah, well, see, yeah, I can, but I don't want to. It's my life. I grew up there. It's all I've done. So I'm comfortable with it.
Sure.
And to carry on a legacy that my grandparents worked so hard for, it's important to me.
Sure. Anybody have anything else to offer? I remember going into the bank for when Cleaning was at the bank. So that's been quite a few years ago.
Yeah, there is a box there that's full of newspaper articles dating back to 1920 about their interest rates that they were giving at that point in time, and different pictures of the officers and how the building looked. The inside has even been renovated, so it does look very different. But I've only been there since March, so it was interesting to look through the box. It really was. I didn't bring all that, but.
I remember when the Gleaning place was Miller's department store. And we used to go in there all the time and buy clothes and different items.
I've heard that, yes.
Yes.
I think maybe Bob could elaborate on how flowers have changed the year, especially for funerals, from flowers to blankets.
Yeah, the
How
whole,
things have changed.
the whole floral industry's changed. There's so much more people selling flowers with all the big box stores that, that's partly why the greenhouse is not so profitable anymore, because everybody's selling plants and flowers. The biggest change we've seen, as you mentioned, funerals customs have changed so much now that there's the old 2 days of viewing and large funeral is gone, and more memorial services.
Nice cremated.
Flower customs, as far as everybody used to get dressed up and go to church for Mother's Day and Easter, wear a corsage.
Right.
You never see anybody wear a corsage hardly anymore now. The internet is probably the biggest change. We find that, especially at Mother's Day, it's very hard to make any arrangements up ahead of time because all the orders come in over the computer, and they've gone online, found a picture that they like, and they want it exactly like that. And it's not anything typical, so we probably do 50 arrangements, and they're all different because it's something they saw online, they want exactly like that. So.
And weddings have changed too, haven't they?
Yeah, it kind of goes in cycles. You have a lot of big church weddings now, and more outdoor weddings, very small, not so elaborate as what they used to be, but that kind of goes in cycles. For a while, it was all silk flowers. Now people are back to more natural flowers. Martha Stewart's ideas of flowers have changed the whole outlook on things too. So the whole industry has changed, and after 50-some years, you see a lot of changes over the years. So.
Oh, yes. Yes. Anybody else?
Just thank you for the opportunity.
Sure, thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate
We've
it.
enjoyed today. It's been wonderful to hear about your businesses in West Milton, and we're very, very glad that you could come today and share this information with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.